Hello guys, welcome back to another video session. This is Paul and you're watching Billy's Educatella. In this today video session, I would like to discuss the second part of control statements. In my previous video, I discussed about the selection statements. In this video session, I would like to discuss about iteration and the jump statements. So before going to the topic, do subscribe my channel, like the video and press the bell icon for my notifications. Now let us discuss the topic of iteration or looping statements. So we have four types of iteration or looping statements. The first one is while loop, and the second one is do while loop, and the third one is for loop, and the fourth one is for each loop. So looping statements means nothing but printing a group of statements at a time. So it will check the condition and it will print the condition if the statement is true, and if the statement is false, it will stop at that position and it will directly print which statements are true in that loop. So let us discuss each of the looping statements. First, let us discuss about the while loop. So while loops are the simplest kind of loops. So when compared to for loop and do while loop is one of the simplest kind. It checks and evaluates the condition, and if it is true, then execute the body of the loop. So the main concept of the while loop is if the condition is true. So here in this while loop, if the condition is true, then it will goes to loop body, or else it will process the results. So when the loop is running, when at a particular position the loop becomes false. So at that position the loop becomes false and the results which are true will be printed, and the results will be processed and they will be shown to the user. Coming to the second point, this is repeated until the condition becomes false. So the condition of this loop will be repeated until the condition becomes false. When the condition becomes false, at that time the results will be processed and we will get the outputs. Condition in while loop must be given as a boolean expression. So the condition is true means, so it will print that data. If the condition is false, then it doesn't print it. So at that time the execution will be stopped. So the boolean expression is nothing but if the condition is true or false is checked by using the boolean expression. If int or string is used instead, compile will give the error. So if we give an integer or a string in place of boolean expression, it will generate error, because if the condition doesn't become as true or false, the computer doesn't know which is a true statement and which is a false statement. So now let us discuss an example code. So here we have a condition as I is less than 5, and we have the I value is equals to 0, and next coming to the condition is I must be less than 5. So here the boolean expression is if the I value is less than 5, then it is true, or else it is a false statement. So first I is compared with 5, so 0 is less than 5, so the statement is true, then it will print it. Okay, after printing it the value is incremented. After that 1 is checked with 5, so it is true. Next 2 is checked with 5, so it is true. Next 3 is checked with 5, so it is also true. Next 4 is checked with 5, so this is also true. So when 5 is checked with 5, this statement is false, because 5 is equals to 5, so the statement is false. So the condition will be stopped here. So the computer will process the result at the position when 5 is less than or 5. That means this statement becomes false. At this time the computer will process the result. I think so you understood it. So the main condition in the while loop is it will check until the given loop becomes false. Okay, now let us discuss about the do while loop. So do while loop works same as the while loop. it has only one difference, that do. So in do while loop, the main difference is adding of do. Condition is checked after the execution of the loop. So if we have this as a loop, so the condition will be checked after the execution of this loop. Okay, that is why the loop is considered as exit control loop. So because of the checking of the condition after the execution of the loop, so it is considered as the exit control loop. In do while loop, body of the loop will be executed at least once before checking the condition. So here is an example. So this point is related here. So here the x value is equals to 21. So first it will perform the loop condition. So system.out.println the value of x. So it will print the output as 21. But we have the condition that x must be less than 20. But here 21 is greater than 20. So you may get doubt that here the condition is false, but it is printing the output. So here the main concept in the do while loop is it will execute the loop at least once. So the loop will be executed at least once. That means 21 will be printed. After 21 printing, so the condition is checked. So the statement becomes false. So there are no operations after checking the condition. So first you are initializing the variable. So here x is equals to 21. After that we have the loop body. So the loop body is do loop. Okay. So next the condition is checked. So after the execution of the do loop, the condition is checked. So if the condition is false, the results will be processed. If the condition is true, that means if I take x value as 19, so the condition is true. So the loop will be updated and the results will be printed after the condition become false. So the main concept in do while loop is the result will be executed at least once before checking the condition. So in this way the do while loop works. Now let us discuss about the for loop. So it is the most common and widely used loop in Java. So this for loop is used very widely in Java. It is the easiest way to construct a loop structure in code, as initialization of a variable, a condition and increment or decrement are declared only in a single line of a code. So in for loop, the everything will be represented in a single line of code. So the initialization of a variable and the condition, that means either decrement or increment, performed in a single line of the code. In for loop, it is easy to debug the structure in Java. So here in for loop, if you have any errors, those can be changed very easily. Okay, let us discuss the example code. So here we have a loop from 1 to 5. So system.out.println j. So first 1 is printed, after that 2 is printed, after that 3 is printed, after that 4 will be printed, and 5. So 5 is less than or equals to 5. At this position the condition will be stopped, and when 6 is compared with this statement, so 6 is less than or equals to 5, this statement is false. So at this position the loop will be stopped and the results will be printed. So first we are going to initialize the variable. After that the condition will be checked. If the condition is false, it is going to process our results, or else it is going to loop body. That means system.out.println. This represents the loop body, and increment or decrement. So after printing the loop body, the value is either incremented or decremented. So decrement represents that printing the given values in the reverse order, and increment shows that printing the given variables in a ascending order. So the output for the given example code is 1 2 3 4 5. So I explained here. So first 1, after 2, after 3, 4, 5. So at this position 6 is compared with 5. So at this position the condition becomes false. So the results will be stopped and the results will be printed. Now let us discuss about Java for each loop. So in this Java for each loop, it will travels the array or collection until the last element. So if we have one array, so this is an array. So from the starting point, so we have the elements 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 is the starting point. So from 1 to 4, it will travel each and every element in this particular array. So the main concept of the Java for each loop is, and the advantage of for each loop is that it eliminates the possibility of bugs. So in every program we will get so many errors. So in order to reduce the number of bugs or errors, the Java for each loop is very usable and makes the code more readable. So it makes the user to read the code very effectively because the program is very short and it can be understood to the user very easily. It is known as the for each loop because it traverses each element one by one. So every element in the given array is traveled by one by one. So this is known as the for each loop because every element in the loop is traveled by one. So here is an example. So in for each loop we have an array. So in that array we have some elements. So this element has to be printed by using the for loop. For int I colon arr means array. So the every element is compared by using the I variable. So I is compared with 12. So 12 is printed first, after that 13 is printed, after that 14 is printed, after that 44 is printed. After 44 there are no elements. At that position the condition is stopped and the execution will be started. So the outputs for the given inputs are 12, 13, 14 and 44. I think so you understood it. Now let us discuss about the jumping or branching statements. We have three types of jumping statements: break, continue and return. Now let us discuss each of them. Now let us discuss the break statement. We can use break statement in the following cases. What are the cases? Inside the switch case to come out of the switch block. So in switch case we have number of cases. So in order to stop the case we use the break statement. If that particular case is true, at that time we have to stop that and we have to print that case. Okay. So inside the switch case the break statement is used within the loops to break the loop execution based on some condition. So if you have one condition, if that condition is true, so the loop has to be stopped and it has to be executed. So break statement is used inside the loops to execute based on the condition. Inside the labeled blocks to break the block execution based on some condition. So inside that block we have number of statements. So if you want to execute a particular statement, we use the break statement and execute that particular statement, okay, based on the particular condition. Okay, I think so you understood it. And the break statement cannot be used outside the loops and the switch statement. There is no use if the break statement is present outside the loop, because the loop continues inside itself because it contains some condition. So the break statement cannot be used outside the loop. Okay, now let us discuss the flowchart. First, the loop is started. After starting the loop, condition to break from the loop. So we have some particular condition to break. So in order to break that condition, we use the break statement. If that condition is true, it will be breaked. If the condition is false, again the loop body starts. In this way, the break statement works. So here is a small example. So for I equals to 0 and I must be less than 10 and I plus plus, if I double equals to 5, that means when 5 is double equals to 5, at that time the break statement works, that means the condition is true. So at that position the condition is stopped and we are going to print the I values. So first 0, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At 5 the condition is stopped. So in this way the break statement works. Now let us discuss about the continue statement. The continue statement is mostly used inside the loops. Whenever it is encountered inside a loop, control directly jumps to the beginning of the loop for next iteration, skipping the execution of the statements inside the loop's body for the current iteration. So you have one condition, that means I double equals to some 4. So at this position the condition is becoming true. Okay, so when this condition becoming true, so at that position it skips the execution of the statements. After skipping that, it will go back to the initial position. Okay, so first we have the conditional code and we have some condition. If that condition is true, again it will go back to our actual conditional code. After that it will run the Java continue statement. After performing Java continue statement, again it will come back to condition, and at some particular position it will become false. So at that position we will process our results. So we have a loop for int j equals to 0, j must be less than or equals to 6, j plus plus. If j double equals to 4, so when the condition, that means 4 double equals to 4 is true, we are going to perform continue statement, and after that we are going to print the j value. So this is particularly useful when you want to continue the loop but don't want the rest of the element in the loop body to execute for the particular iteration. You didn't want the 4 value in the loop. So in order to take off the 4 value in the loop, we use the continue statement. So the main aim of the continue statement is to take off the element which you didn't like it. Okay, so the outputs for the given code is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is take off and 5, 6 are printed. So we didn't want the 4 value. So in this way Java continue statement works. Now let us discuss about Java return keyword. Java return keyword is used to complete the execution of a method. So in a class we have different methods. In order to complete the execution of that method, we use the return keyword. This value depends on the method return type, like int method always return an integer type. So we have an int method as int sum Paul. So here the method name is Paul, but it shows that Paul is an integer type. So it will execute only the integer values in this loop. So like int method always return an integer value. So this method only returns the integer type of values. It is used to exit from the method. So in order to exit from this method, the return keyword is used. It is not allowed to use return keyword in the void method. So if you have void Paul, so this in this type of methods we couldn't use a return type. So if we have an integer type or a string type or any other data types, so in the types we can use the return type, but in the void type we couldn't use the Java return keyword. The value passed with return keyword must match with return type of method. So here what is our method? It is of integer type. So we have to return an integer value or else it will generate an error. So here is an example. So we have the method as double. In that method we have two double values, double A and double B. So we are performing operations related to double data type. So double sum is equals to 0 and sum is equals to a plus b by 2.0. So we are going to return the sum which is of double data type. Okay, So in the main method we are going to declare the values of this method. So here the syntax new a of represents that in the class of a we have a method named as rr. So we are going to give some values to this method, that is 5.5 and 6.5. So 5.5 and 6.5 are given to this method, operation is performed, and this sum will be returned here and the sum will be printed. So the output will be 6.0. I hope you understood about the iteration and jump statements. If you have any doubts, comment below and like the video and subscribe my channel and share the content which is present in my channel. Thank you everyone.